know if it's my, here we go.
I think I made the link, so it was
I was
me.
going to say, because it's not going to give me the option
Sorry.
to say, hi, everybody,
So,
I'm
mhm.
Catherine. As Tara said, I'm co-chair with her. I'm director at the Upper Saddle River Library. And happy to be here today with you guys. And before we get started into our different topics for today, we'll hand it over to Mimi so she can introduce herself and say a few words.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much, Tara. Hi, everyone. Mimi Hoy, I'm your Buckles president this year. I just want to warmly welcome all of you to this afternoon's orientation. I just want to be thankful for the LAMP committee for taking the time to really be conscientious and to be thoughtful of our new directors. I know you guys are being immersed and with a lot of information, but this particular session, I just thought that it was so needed for you guys, and that's why we're here, because your success is our success. So I just want to warmly welcome you, and please feel free to reach out at any given time. All right, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Mimi.
you. I also want to introduce our amazing liaison in the Buckles office, Darlene. So, Darlene, if you could introduce yourself and say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Darlene Swistock from the Buckles office, and I am very lucky that I get to be the liaison to this committee. I love working and helping to support our new directors, so thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Darlene. Darlene's the best. The LAMP committee is really fun. We get to do lots of professional development and then also like some venting and social sessions, which are also really important as directors. We normally do a new director's orientation in February, but we had so many folks who are new coming into this season where you're expected to do the salary survey and then start getting ready for budget season. This is kind of just like an extra session we wanted to offer in case anybody had questions. I hope it's helpful for you. Please, at any time, feel free to reach out to anyone on the LAMP committee. You're also always encouraged to use that director's email listserv that we love so much. If you have a question, there are no stupid questions. And we usually all benefit from the questions that are being asked on that email listserv. So don't ever hesitate to use that. Before we get any further into this, I'd love for you guys to introduce yourselves and just say which library you're at now, where you came from, maybe how long you've been in your position, and then we'll get started. I'm going to pick on Megan because it doesn't say which library you work at, Megan. So you can go first today.
Fix that next time so I don't get picked first. My name is Megan. I'm at the Midland Park Memorial Library.
Okay.
I've been here for 8 years. I started as a part-time circulation assistant. I was fascinated by library world, went back, got my MI, graduated in December. Catherine DeLeo was the director here. She's now in Westwood. She was a wonderful mentor. And I've been the director here officially since May.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Sometimes I want my old job back, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Sometimes I just
a
want to be
lot
a
of
circus
us.
Very
assistant.
fair.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I dream about doing story time like I
Yes.
used to do. Anyway, thank you very much, Megan. It's great to meet you. Michael, why don't you go next?
Sure. Hello, I'm Michael Pucci. I'm at Roseland Public Library. I've been here since May as well.
Oh,
I
there you
came
go.
from, oh, was I frozen?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
Would
okay.
you mind starting
Sure.
over? Okay, thank you.
Michael Pucci. I'm at Roseland Public Library. Been here also since May. I came from South Orange, was there for almost 18 years. And as you all know, South Orange joined the consortium like a year and a half ago. So, went through that whole process of dealing with Margaret and her team and getting onboarded there. So very familiar with Buckles now. And I will say that at least 33% of the reason that I jumped at this chance was that I would not have to learn yet another circulation system or another. Going from one Buckles library to another was a big draw.
That's totally fair, Michael, and we're happy to have you now at a new location in Buckles. Thank you so much. Ella, that's your name, right? Ella at Powell Park, would you mind introducing yourself for us, please?
Sure. I just realized I just signed in with like one of our the library email.
That's okay.
That's why, yeah, I don't know how to change my name.
It's
My
okay.
my name is Chorong, but I just go by Ella.
Okay.
I'm at the Palisade Park Library. This is my fourth week. at this
Wow.
library. Yeah, and then I worked for the New York Public Library for 9 years, and then I've been commuting to the city for that years, and then I have my children, and then I kind of want to know about my community in the local library. So I just, yeah, I'm here now.
That's
Awesome.
great. Happy fourth week of work. My
Yeah.
goodness. Nice to meet you. And it looks like we had Kristen sign on in the meantime. So Kristen, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, saying which library you're at, maybe where you came from, anything else you want to share with us. Can you hear me, Kristen? Okay.
They'll be doing
All right.
something.
Maybe we'll circle back to Kristen in a little bit. Okay, so
Oh, no problem.
her microphone's not working. We've all been there, Kristen. But it's nice to meet you and thank you for joining us today. So just so you're all aware, at the larger full-fleshed February new directors orientation, we have several people do different presentations on different topics. So we're going to share the actual slide presentations that we have, and then we'll be speaking a little more casually about the other topics that don't have presentations, but all the presentations will be shared with everyone after this session. So please, if we're going a little quickly, it's just out of respect for everybody's time, but you're more than welcome to review all the slides later on. And please always reach out to either Catherine or I or anyone else on LAMP or that director's listserv if you have any questions. I will say, I think the most magical thing about Buckles is the support that we give one another in this organization. Everyone really wants to see their fellow directors and staffers succeed. So like Mimi was saying, your success is our success too. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions about anything we're about to show you, because it's a whole lot of stuff. We're going to start, I think, with the salary survey. So Catherine is going to share her screen and share the slides, and I'm going to yap because that's what I do. But please feel free to stop us at any time, but also we'll have time for questions at the end. So this presentation is going to cover I'm just going to read Kristen's chat box. She's at Glenrock. She's been here almost 8 months. She was at Montclair before that, where she managed their Bellevue Avenue branch. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Kristen. Okay, so this presentation is going to cover per capita state aid annual survey, or the state report, as a lot of us like to call it. Ooh, state report, like I get chills down my spine when I say that phrase. And also the Buckles salary survey, which is new this year. It's the LAMP committee also works with the tech team at Buckles to produce the salary survey, and then we enforce everyone filling out the salary survey, especially Darlene, who will send out shamey emails at some point if you haven't filled it out in time. So we thought it'd be timely to start with this because it's basically due now. The 15th, right? So it's coming up in the next couple days. So we figured we'd start with this. Just as a reminder, this format is new to everyone, the salary survey part, but it's much better than the old one. It's really easy to do. It's just you have to sit down and block out some time to do it. So if you wouldn't mind moving to the first actual slide. And now I'm realizing that I need to minimize everybody so I can read this. So I'll probably be making crazy faces at my camera because I can't see myself. So the per capita state aid annual survey, or as we call it, the state report, is the largest public library grant program administered by the state library and the Foundation of State Support for Public Libraries. It hasn't been fully funded in many, many years, but it's still state aid that we get every year. Qualifying for state aid is a requirement of Buckles membership, and we do need to send a copy of our state survey to Buckles after we complete it. The program is authorized in pursuant to the statute that I won't read. The first State Aid Act was passed by New Jersey legislature in 1959. It established a principle of partnership between local libraries and the state for the provision of quality library service through direct state financial support for public libraries. Its passage set a precedent that the state of New Jersey had a critical partnership role in providing quality library service for the residents of New Jersey. And after all that being said, it is also a requirement. So regardless of how we feel about it, it's something we need to do. The timeline for completion: you will receive an email before the end of the year with notification that it's upcoming, and then you will receive your login information, especially if you've never completed it before, in January. Beginning in February, Buckles so kindly supplies spreadsheets with lots of data, statistics, and numbers that you need to complete the survey. And by mid-March, it is due to both the state and to Buckles. Next slide, please. Things to remember about this, you have to do it to receive your state aid. So if you want that money, you got to do the survey. Your survey numbers much match those provided by your CFO. So in most cases, your CFO is also your qualified purchasing agent. In case you guys don't know that for bidding purposes, that's something you're going to want to find out as a new director, by the way. But they will usually complete the accuracy certification and sign off on the financial numbers for you. If the numbers have changed significantly since the prior year, you will need to provide an explanation. That's not just financial numbers, it's any numbers in the survey. So if you suddenly have twice as many items in your collection or offer twice as many programs, it's going to pop up a little like error message, and you'll put in a note to explain the change. Sometimes it's just, we subscribe to a new thing, and that's why we have more of this item. And keeping detailed statistics throughout the year and reviewing those provided by Buckles will make completing the survey easier. So will looking at the survey from the previous year. To me, that's what helped me the most. Next slide, please. The salary survey. The Buckles Salary Survey is an annual survey facilitated by the LAMP Committee. The purpose of the survey is to compile personnel and budgetary information for all Buckles members. I think it is amazing that we do this. It's a great service. It's just also for transparency and fairness. This information is meant to aid directors when drawing up annual budgets, reviewing personnel benefits and salaries, and generally providing a benchmark for comparison between similarly situated libraries. There is an NJLA salary guide, but frankly, the cost of living and salaries tend to be higher in this end of the state. So I feel like the Buckles Salary Survey is much more helpful than the NJLA salary guide. Next slide, please. Thank you, Catherine. You're the best. Timeline for completion. We start in mid or late July and we end by early October. Ending means the report is shared with everyone. So in July, the salary survey opens. In mid or the end of August, the survey is due. In September, the Buckles office compiles the data and provides a draft for directors to review. And directors review the draft version and request any edits if necessary. And then early October, the final version is supplied to all directors. This is to help with your budgeting process, which should be starting around that time. Things to remember, you can always access the current and older salary surveys under the director portal on Happio. The final survey is distributed in early October, so you can use the data during your budget planning. And completing the survey is a Buckles requirement. The smiley face was added by me. It's very important that we complete the survey. We redid the survey this year, and I feel like it works much better than it did in previous years. It's been completely revamped for 2025. New features include better navigation and ease of data input, access to already completed survey data instantaneously once your data is finalized, and the ability to manipulate survey data, via Google Sheets once the salary survey process has been completed. Okay, accessing the survey and instruction manual. The LAMP committee set out links to this in May, but they're also accessible from the salary survey page in the director portal on Happio. You can also find past salary survey information on this same page. And Catherine was a sweetheart and highlighted all of these links here. You can also call or email us if you can't find this information. Next slide, please. Navigating the survey, it's pretty self-explanatory, but My Library would be your library's information. All libraries you can use that to spy on who did their survey and who did not do their survey. Full-time employees would be a list of full-time employees organized by library after all the submissions are completed. Same with part-time. And all libraries last year would be to review last year's data. That'll be available starting in 2026 because this is a new format this year. The icons represent different sections of the survey that must be completed, so you can do them one at a time. It's kind of like winning badges in a video game. At least that's what I tell myself. Once you finish and click save, the icon will disappear, allowing you to easily track what you've done and what you haven't done. And you can revisit and edit any previously submitted sections just by scrolling down on the main page and clicking on the area that you want to edit. Entering your data. You can enter your survey data starting with any category you want, like just get rid of the ones you hate first. The ones that seem like they're going to really suck, I would do those at the beginning personally. Click on that section, the data input area will open on the right-hand side, and then you can enter your data, click next and move along, continue to click next and advance through the section. At the end of the section, a save option will appear. Make sure you save it and continue every section in the same way. It's pretty self-explanatory. Once you've completed a section and click save, the associated icon will disappear from the main section of the survey. Very satisfying. The data for the section will now appear on the main screen in a shortened, truncated form. To revisit and edit a section that has already been completed, just scroll down to the main screen and click on it. The data previously submitted will appear on the right-hand side. Click edit to edit the data, and once edited, click save. Always click save. Full-time employees, I'm not going to read all of this to you, but basically this is where you submit your full-time employees. You could either do them individually or an average for each group. You can continue on, Catherine. It's the same for part-time employees. Continue. And submitting your survey, most important part, once you've completed all the sections, you're going to hit the finalize button. You'll be asked to confirm, are you really sure you want to finalize? Yes, I am. You're going to hit finalize again. Once you have done that, you can't edit it. If you prefer to make changes before the deadline, click no. Never mind, I'm not finalized, and you'll go back to your library to keep editing. And the completed salary survey, you'll receive an email confirming that you've submitted it. The email includes an attachment summarizing your data, and you now have access to review the data for other libraries. You can see who's done theirs, who's been naughty, who's been nice, that kind of thing. Before we send out the shamey emails. Data from all the libraries will be available towards the beginning of October. General report reminders. You can always reach out to the state library, the Buckles office, your mentor, anyone on the LAMP committee for assistance, or if you have a favorite other library director, you are welcome to reach out to them as well. You can review numbers from previous years to help determine your answer. I highly recommend you do that. Don't reinvent the wheel. Start with the old numbers and just adjust as needed. You must complete both the state report, annual survey, and the Buckles salary survey as part of your Buckles membership. Very important. And here are some contacts for the state library and for the salary survey. Just a note, if you have questions about how you should answer questions, those shouldn't go to Joseph. He's really our tech contact. I would reach out to the LAMP committee if you have questions about how you should enter certain information. Tech questions and login and questions can go to Joseph. And I think that's it. I need some water before I move on to the next presentation. Thank you, Catherine, for clicking through all of that. I'll just take 1 minute for questions, if anyone has questions before we move on to the next presentation. I know that was a lot. Everybody good? Hanging in there? All right, I talk, you listen. We're good. Catherine clicks. We're going to get through this together. Okay. You ready to move on to facilities, Catherine?
1 second. Okay.
Thank you. This one will be easy because I did this one. It's less technical than Catherine's presentation. Okay. It's not really fun, but fun with facilities. You can go to the first actual slide, please. Congratulations, you're now a facilities manager. Unless you are lucky to have a full-time facilities manager, and sometimes even if you do at your library, you're now the default person in charge of the building and the property. First thing I would do if you haven't already is get a good walkthrough from your predecessor if they're available, or a senior staff member, a board member, DPW employee if you're in a city or municipal building, or someone else who's very familiar with the building. And please keep the following in mind. Next slide, please. Who does what and who has access? First and foremost, get a definitive list of who has possession of keys and codes to your building, which may include Buckles delivery personnel. Does it make sense for all these people to have the ability to open and close? At my building, not every staff member opens and closes. We have a huge staff and we have some turnover, so there are only specific people who have open and closing access here. Do you have separate alarm codes for various staff in case of turnover? Who can do what in the building in case of an emergency? Some buildings have special fun things, like we have sewer pumps that if the power goes out, they need to be reset or the basement will fill with sewage. So that's an example. If your library does not yet have an emergency plan, it would be wise to create one. Be sure to provide your contact information to the alarm company if you've not already done so, and test if you have emergency panic hold up buttons like under one of your service desks. Make sure you test those at least once per year. Next slide, please. Emergency plan. Emergency plans will vary from building to building, but should always include the following components: how to safely exit and a meeting place, how to respond specifically to various issues. For example, if you have a power outage, I just mentioned, you have to restart our sump pumps or they won't function. Emergency contacts for staff and whom to contact once all staff and patrons are safely sheltered in place or outside. Next slide, please. Regardless of whether or not you use in-house staff, DPW staff, or a contracted company, there should be a list of items that are cleaned on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. Who provides landscaping, snow removal? Review your contacts annually. Your building may require special contractors. For example, our building is mostly masonry, so we have masons that come and do pointing and things about once a year. And we also have a clock and chimes that need to be repaired. See if you can enter into a preventative or annual contract with these companies to save money. If the municipality provides services but charges you for them, you're welcome to get quotes and seek services elsewhere. Just be aware of bid threshold amounts and who your QPA is, which is probably your CFO. And try to find out when the last time your major systems, HVAC, et cetera, had a checkup and schedule one before the next season change. Be aware of fire, elevator, and other inspection dates. You should just have a list of things that need to get inspected once a year. And consider bed bug inspections if this is an issue at your library. It is an issue at my library. Next slide, please. Reporting and tracking building issues. A building audit. Within the first 6 months, I would do a SWOT analysis of existing building issues, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Current staff and/or trustees may be able to help you with this. Alternatively, if your library is a municipal building, the DPW staff or town city manager may also be helpful for you. Reporting and keeping up. I suggest tracking building issues with a Google form that will populate a spreadsheet. This will provide a timestamp and easy way for your staff to report to you issues in your building. This will also help you identify patterns and trouble areas. If you have a building and grounds committee on your board, you may want to share this information as part of a report in your board packet. Instructions for staff when you're unavailable. At some point, you will be sick or on a vacation or otherwise unreachable. It would be helpful to both you and your staff for them to have a simple document to follow that includes basic troubleshooting, a list of plumbers, electricians, alarm company information, how to reboot various systems, trustees to contact if they need to close the building, also how to post a closing notice alert to Buckles. In my library, we have a set hierarchy of who is in charge of the building based on position and longevity. This may or may not be helpful for you depending on your staff. And in conclusion, you're in charge, so put systems in place that make running your building easier for you. Make yourself aware of existing building issues and track new ones as they pop up. Review contracts and services once a year. Have an emergency plan and be sure to share it with staff regularly. Ask for help and prepare for when you're inevitably unavailable. Choose and limit who has access to your building with alarm codes. And once you feel that you have a good handle on the building, look for opportunities for improvement, like the PSC&G, direct install, block grants, state funds, etc. That's my quick and dirty facilities presentation. Any questions? Y'all are so quiet. It makes me feel so not quiet. Any questions? You guys are hanging in there? Oh, and I'm gonna take, if it's okay, we're gonna take a
Yeah.
1-minute break only because my architect is calling me. Just give me one.
Yeah, if you guys do have any questions that you think of, obviously during the presentation or at the end of it, and if we can't get to them here or you think of anything, again, like Tara said, reach out to the LAMP committee, reach out to the director, listserv, and no question is stupid. And at the end of the day, a lot of the times they do wind up helping out other directors as well. So.
Catherine, while we're waiting
Sure, Mimi,
for
what's
Tara.
up?
No, I just wanted to encourage everyone that, monthly, the LAMP Community Circle meets. And definitely that is an outlet for all of you as new directors. Please do, join, mark your calendars, take a look at the community circle, the LAMP Community Circle. It's only for directors, and when we meet, is an opportunity to share our concerns or any challenges. Sometimes you never know, your colleague might have the solution to your challenge.
Mimi is absolutely right about that. And we also try, and with the community circles, we schedule them right before the executive board meetings and the system council meetings for Buckles, which is nice because then if you maybe have any questions about what's on the agenda for those meetings going into them, you can ask about that. In addition to anything else that you just want to, you have a question or like great information that you want to share. So definitely always consider taking advantage of them, like Mimi said. Mimi, I'm so glad that you're here to plug my committee.
I'm
because
sorry.
I'm not doing a great job of it.
I'm
so-
sorry.
No,
In
Mimi's
full
got my back. It's okay.
in full transparency, we received bids on a huge project yesterday, so it's been like the busiest 24 hours I've had at work in a long time. So I have meetings for the rest of the day, so I had to take that call now, and I'm so sorry, everyone. But this is like real life director stuff, right? This is the phone rings, we have to answer the phone. Like this is just how it goes. So I'm sorry about that. And just to back up what Mimi and Catherine were saying, Community Circle also serves a really important purpose of just like venting, because sometimes being a director can be really lonely. It's a really hard job. And it's great to have this community that you can talk to, even if it's just like, I had a really tough day today. I'm having an issue with this patron or this employee. And that's what it's for. It's really to talk about whatever you need to. It's totally confidential. Whatever you say in community circle stays in community circle. And then, you won't feel silly walking into system council. If you did have a question about something, maybe it's something you don't understand or you haven't encountered before, you're totally welcome to ask there. So you have like just that little extra information going into system council. So it's a really nice group. But okay, sorry. Speaking of group, I've regrouped. I had some hydration, I had some caffeine. I'm off the phone. I apologize again. And we're gonna keep going. HR suggestions for new directors. This presentation, I think, was done by Amy at the Livingston Public Library, so full credit to her. She and I have great taste and use the same format when we made our slides, as you'll see. But anyway, so thank you guys for bearing with me. First things first, make or revise an organizational chart. Have a few versions based on levels of distribution, based on position and need, not staff name or historical hierarchy. So whenever someone leaves my library, I look at the whole org chart, and you have to think of every departure as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to the person who's leaving to either retire or move to a position that's better for them potentially in another organization. And it's an opportunity for your library to do the hiring it needs to do to get the exact right person in the exact right position. Your needs are going to change over time. Our focus here has changed, and we're really focusing on outreach and bilingual services. That's different maybe than 20 years ago when we had other needs. So look at your whole org chart whenever somebody leaves and see what you really need to do. Do you need to replace that position outright? Do you need 2 part-time positions instead of a full-time position? Like, really think and be strategic when you're plotting that out, because we only have so much in our salary budget. We need to really make it work for our community. Next slide, please. Here's an example of a chart from 2024. Wow, I wish I had that many people helping me in admin. That looks beautiful. But you can see here that this director has a part-time finance officer, a bookkeeper, an admin assistant, and an associate or assistant director. And then you could see that the rest of the org chart is broken down into departments, which is similar to most org charts that I've seen. This is just an example. Okay, next slide, please. Here's the Livingston one. Ooh, Amy, I want all that help, Amy. I'm coming to work with you. This breaks it down specifically into how many positions we have under each department, specifically librarian, assistant, associate, and you can see how the workload is kind of distributed at this specific library. Next slide, please. Review and revise job descriptions. Use this as a framework when talking to staff about roles and responsibilities. So you're not talking to Sally about Sally's job. You're talking to Sally about the responsibilities for the position that she is in. Identify where you may have deficits and where you may think you have excess. So like I was saying, you think about that whole org chart when you're making hiring decisions. Be thoughtful about title work. Avoid the impulse to be overly specific. You probably don't need to reinvent the wheel. And I'm not sure what she meant here by use when creating job ads. A lot of people use AI when creating job ads. I have a personal problem with AI, but it is a thing that people do. So I would also just refer to ads you see elsewhere that you've, if you're civil service or union, look back at that civil service job description too if you need help writing a job ad. Are you union or civil service? We are both here. Phone a friend. And side note, be aware of having an understanding of how hiring and firing works at your library. Every library is different. Some libraries have dedicated HR people, or the city or municipality may do part of that process, or they may not. It really just depends on your library. Next slide, please. Create or revise annual performance evaluations. We do work plans at my library and then update them every year. You're going to base this on your staff size, and you may want to vary them by title, like supervisory or non-supervisory. Make it a two-way process. It should always be a conversation. And be positioned to adequately review every employee. Provide well-documented feedback. Next slide, please. Have regular staff meetings. Oh, this is a big one. When I started here, the only staff meeting we had was our programming librarians would be once a month and have a programming meeting. That was it. I personally think department meetings are great if you're in a bigger library, and then full staff meetings are also really important. Schedule one-on-one time with each employee, especially when they're new. Learn to practice active listening skills, celebrate accomplishments, leave time for feedback, and be a boss, not a friend, which is why I said being a director can be really lonely. You can't really be friends with your staff, but you have other directors you can lean on, especially in Buckles. Next slide, please. Know who to ask for advice. Colleagues, township HR, if that applies to you, board members, if they're not, crazy, library attorney, if you have one. You are not in it alone. You also have all your fellow directors to lean on as well. Next slide. Oh, that's it. Is that it? That's it. This is really general advice, but I also would just say when you're new in any position, don't make any major changes in the first 6 months to a year. Kind of just observe, see why you may think things are done in a really weird way, and you're like, oh, why are we doing that? And then you find out 3 months later, like, oh, that's why. That's why we do it that way. So sometimes it's good to just kind of observe and see why things are happening the way they're happening. I think we have one more presentation.
Yes. We have budget.
And then,
Let me get that on.
oh boy, ooh, all that little text. I don't want to admit that
Yeah.
I need glasses, but I totally do. Maybe next year. Okay. Everyone doing okay in there? Hanging in? Okay, cool. Okay, budgeting. This presentation was created by Allison, I believe, at the Bergenfield Public Library, who's been a LAMP committee member for many, many moons. So fall is budget season. That's why we want to do this little workshop now, so that you have this ahead of budget season. The equalized valuations, aka your third of a mil, aka your minimum funding from your municipality, are released by the state in early October, and she's providing a link here. Insurance rates, if you're on state health benefits, also come out in early October. The Buckles bill gets approved at the October System Council, or December if it gets kicked down the line. That October System Council is always a hoot. Make sure you don't miss it. There's a lot of stuff that happens at that meeting, usually a big meeting. We also get our salary survey around then, which is really helpful too, especially if you're hiring for new positions. Review existing service or maintenance contracts. We talked about that a little bit in the facilities presentation. Union shop salary wage percentage may already be negotiated for you, so you may not have any control over that. If you're funded over a third of a mil, when do you meet with your municipality to pitch your budget request? Some towns don't do that. They just give you whatever they want, like historically has happened here, but some of them will give you an opportunity to make a presentation at a council meeting or just in an informal meeting. Tips for budgeting for the first time. You can't do it in one day. Keep all your PDF spreadsheets together in one place, label them properly. I would also have them back it up somewhere else too. I would also work off last year's budget. Do not start from scratch. There's no reason to do that. Depending on when you start, you may have to use the same model as years past. Allison has in here. I think there is no reason your first year to rechange the format of all this stuff. It's a lot of extra work, and you may not even know how you want it formatted yet if you're really new. So I would just kind of keep it keep it, the same or similar for the first year. Your board may or may not be involved in the budgeting process. Do you have a really active treasurer? Do you not? All my treasurer wants from me every month is an email that says the financials are unremarkable. That's all she wants to know. Some of them are really hands-on. It kind of depends on your board. Difference between operating and capital budgets. Strategic planning components will tie into your capital plan, and interfund transfers, if you need to move money from capital, maybe reserve accounts, to operating because you're working on a big project, be aware of all those moving parts. Things to consider working on your budget. Look at your statistics. Do you need to add hours? Do you need to add computers? Staff feedback, patron feedback, building projects, spam calls coming in every 5 minutes. I hope this happens to other people and not just me. Staffing changes on the horizon. Do you know that people are going to be retiring soon? Do you have to budget for that? Do they get sick leave payout? We call it terminal leave here, which I wish we would change the name because that just sounds really sad. But you need to be aware of things like that. Personal goals for the upcoming year. Your board may set those for you. They may not. And that may have to, budgeting may have something to do with that. How do you know when you've created a good budget? Well, you get to the end of the year, not way over or way under, first of all, but also usage statistics are trending up. Patron feedback and staff feedback will help confirm that for you as well. Budgeting is a lot. If you're like me, you're a humanities person and now you're doing math all the time. So just take a breath. Try not to start from scratch. Just work from what you have from previous years. Much of the time, library budgets don't have a lot of wiggle room anyway. There's not a lot of fat to cut or discretionary to move around. So the budgets don't change that much often year to year. Thank you, Catherine, again, for clicking through all of that for me. Before we move on to we're going to discuss working with municipalities and committee work a little bit. Let's just take a pause for questions. Do we have any questions from anyone or comments from anyone about anything that we've gone over so far? You guys are so quiet. I don't believe that you
We're
don't have
throwing a
questions.
lot of information at you in a very quick pace. So yeah, any questions at all, we'd be happy to, answer.
They don't even have to be on the topics we just covered. If there's anything on your mind you want to ask, you're more than welcome to. No? You guys are already pros, huh? I'm jealous. I wish I was in that position when I was new. Wish I was in that position now, and I've been here for a while, so. All right, we don't have presentations for working with municipalities and committee work, so we're just going to speak generally about that. But this varies so much from library to library. And we're not claiming to be experts. We're just giving you information based off our experiences. So please take it for what it is. I think for me, the most helpful thing when I started in Hackensack was really talking to my board to try to find out who's who in the town. These people live in town. Many of them have been involved with town politics, or, they know everybody in the city and they know who's helpful, who's not helpful. They're able to give me the background on people who work in City Hall. The way Hackensack's run by a city manager that's hired by the council. So that person changes usually whenever there's a big change in election. Like we just had an election and now we're going to have a new city manager starting in a month, because they're basically doing the bidding of the city council that was just elected. But every town doesn't work that way. Your CFO may be very hands-on or they may not be. It really just depends. But I would start with your trustees. Find out who on your board of trustees you can really talk to and can give you that information. And just be welcoming and friendly and introduce yourself to as many people in town as you can at the beginning. Say yes as much as you can. Show your face as much as you can, especially at the start, so they know who you are and they know that you're interested. I went to every city council meeting for 2 years. I'm not saying you have to do that, but it's good for them to know who you are, especially when it comes time to ask for money. You don't want to not show up all year. You don't want to be the friend that you only call your friends when you need to move. You know what I mean? They need to know you before that. So that's my general recommendation. If you're flat funded at $1/3 there's not a whole lot to discuss with these people, frankly, because they're going to give you $1/3 and that's it. Hackensack has historically been funded over $1/3, which is actually really scary. And they've cut our discretionary $750,000 since I've started here. So, every year I'm mostly just don't cut me more. Thank you. But every town is different. And you're also probably in a municipal building. Most libraries in Bergen County are and Buckles are in municipal buildings. So try to figure out what exactly the town takes care of for you. Do they charge you for those services? Those are all things to figure out when you're new in your position. Catherine, did you want to add anything or?
I would say, some people who are good to tap beyond your board, if you have, staff members who are also residents of your town and like longstanding residents of the community, sometimes they can have insight for you as well. Another great thing is, finding out the different organizations that are in your, community, and kind of making them aware of you as well, because you'll find a lot of, depending on the community, but sometimes you find like the same, subset of people is in all of these different organizations, and sometimes knowing them can kind of give you an edge, when you're dealing with your municipality or you're dealing with any of like the bigger players in your in your town. So I would say, kind of keep that in mind as well. But yeah, kind of like Tara said, if you're funded at the third of a mil, you still want them to know who you are. And you still want to make sure that you're a familiar face around town. But it's an even bigger deal if you're looking and asking for funding above that. Then you really want to make sure that they know who you are, and as much as possible that, they know you're someone who they can get along with. You don't have to love each other, but have to try and get along with each other as best as possible. So.
And also, if you are in a larger municipality, especially and you have like a city master plan, before I applied at Hackensack, I looked at the city master plan, I looked at all this redevelopment they were planning on doing, and I was at least aware of that. So when I'd go to council meetings, I like kind of knew what was going on, and I could say how our services could align with all these new people they're trying to bring into town. You really want to show off the library's value to these folks, because a lot of them either don't think of the library or they think the library is just overfunded and unnecessary, or, it depends on the municipality, but you really want to show your value, and being friendly goes a long way. So, speaking of being friendly, you can make so many friendly friends if you join a Buckles committee. Committee work is really what keeps Buckles going and what makes us a unique organization. And we are so lucky to have all these directors and other staff volunteer their time to help these committees run, and provide things like professional development, social events, training. Committee work is a great way to meet other directors, other staffers, to find solutions to problems you may be having in your library, to learn more about things you're unfamiliar with. I know when I was on executive board, I was on the finance committee, and it made me a stronger budgeter for my library to have the opportunity to do that. It was really like a brain stretch for someone who just wants to like read and make weird art. Like doing all that extra math was so good for that part of my brain. And I got to meet some really brilliant people. You are problem solving together as a committee, and it just, it makes you more connected to your profession. It's a way to give back. I can't say enough good things about committee work. If you can't chair a committee, you could co-chair. Like Catherine and I are both really busy, but it's great to have a co-chair, because if one of us can't run a meeting or attend an event, the other one usually can, and we work it out that way. But you don't even need to chair a committee to contribute. You could just be a member of a committee. I feel like Mimi may have some great stuff to say about committee work, because she is like the queen of Buckles. So anything you want to add, Mimi?
Oh, thank you, Tara. We have 17 committees right now that are happening in Buckles, and you don't have to be a committee member to find out what's going on. Anyone can attend a committee meeting. Usually it's posted on the calendar. So on the Buckles calendar, so you can just visit, drop in. There are certain committees that are limited to, certain people, but most of the committees are open to anyone, everyone. So I do encourage you, if you just want to take a peek under the hood to find out how the committee works, just drop in. You can look at the minutes through the director's portal and take a look at what's going on. But I do have to say the backbone of our cooperative are our committees and the committee members. So I ask that if you can't join this year, and I understand as a new director, but do support the activities that are going on, because these are your colleagues at arms that are working diligently for all of us.
Thank you, Mimi. I don't
Okay.
want to dismiss you either, Catherine. Do you have anything else to add about committee work?
I think it really is valuable. I would say, definitely as a new director, you don't have to worry about, co-chairing anything or, signing up for, multiple committees, but take a look at the list, see if anything speaks to you. Every single committee is important and valuable for, variety of different reasons. In the past, I'll say like I've been on policies and procedures, which can kind of be a very intense committee, but they
It's a
do a
tough
lot
one.
of really, really important work. And kind of like Tara was talking about when, she was on the executive board finance committee, it just, provides you with so much more information than like you might otherwise have. It just gives you like a deeper understanding. And I think all of the committees do that to a certain extent in whatever area they are. They're going to give you, a better understanding of Buckles, a better understanding of whatever, topics or subjects they kind of tackle for the consortium. And again, just to circle back to great networking, and just a good way to grow stronger in, because Buckles is, it's a fairly small community of librarians. So it's another way to get to meet everybody and to just kind of understand the inner workings of Buckles a little bit better. So I definitely recommend it. And if Darlene ever tells you to sign up for a committee, you
Do
do it.
it.
You don't say no to her, because you do it, at first you're like, I was a new director and she said, join LAMP. Why don't you join LAMP? I was like, I'm brand new. What could I bring to it? And that was several years ago, but it definitely was, very worthwhile. And she was absolutely right. So you always listen to Darlene when she tells you to do
Oh,
something.
listen, Darlene, that would be like our final thought, I think, if we had to
Yeah.
have one. But I think, so we did great, guys. It is 2:52 and we went through all of our topics, but now is the Q&A portion. You've been quiet this whole time. I feel like maybe, does anyone don't be shy. Does anyone have a question or a situation or anything they want to share?
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
Be brave, Michael. What's
Yeah.
up?
So we have a little bit of money this year or the next few months to spend on improvements, but I've been told directly and indirectly that I cannot do anything to the exterior of the building, that we, the library, do not pay for those things like HVAC or the roof or the windows or whatever. The borough pays for it, which means we're also
Okay.
on their timetable. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not used to that. In South Orange, we paid for it, and maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't seem like it's the usual thing, but maybe it is. Do any of you have that same arrangement with the town?
That's a very common arrangement. I'm the opposite of that, though, Michael. We are not in a municipal building, so I'm 100% responsible for my physical plant, which can be great and also really bad. Like we have no money, so it's bad right now. But when I was in Allendale, it was like that. Like I had no say in when our air conditioning got repaired, and I can only make interior changes. Which is really, it's frustrating in a different way, right? But that in a lot of municipal buildings, that is the situation. Like you may have limited control over certain systems or like certain physical parts of your building, depending on the town.
And
Michael,
if
that's
that's
how
the
we
case,
are.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Megan.
No, go ahead.
That's how we are in Midland Park.
Yeah.
It was described to me that basically I'm like a renter. And so I can
Mhm.
change things within reason inside the building, but the outside roof, everything is their call, as you said, their timeline. And also when I look at kind of the town borough financials, you can see that, I can see what they've set aside too. So I'm really hoping we don't have any issues with our heater or roof.
Well, don't forget that even though you can't bond, Megan, your municipality can bond for you to make improvements. And that's what ends up happening a lot of the time. So like our towns, we have zero, we'd have to ask the city to bond for us if we had any kind of problem. So that is a possibility too. But like a renter is actually a great description, like you're allowed to maybe paint stuff or move your
Yeah.
furniture, but you're not like knocking down walls and
Yes.
whatever, right?
Yeah, I found that helpful. Yeah.
Thank you
Michael,
for sharing that.
I'm going to jump in here. And Hasbrook Heights, we're in a municipal building. We're
Mhm.
on the second floor.
Mhm.
And this is where you get to know the key players. So make every effort to know your borough administrator and the head of DPW, because those are two key people that can be life-changing in a sense that if certain repairs that are need to be done, if you don't have it in your budget, the DPW sometimes will come along and just absorb that cost for you because they have
Yeah.
budgets. They have money set aside and their job is, improvements around the borough. So please take the time to get to know those two key players. If something that needs to be fixed, or whether it's shingles or something on your roof, make sure you communicate and work alongside with them, because they might reveal to you what their timetable might be, or they might push the item or the project forward by you speaking with them.
Mhm.
And if you haven't done this, this would be a great time to like walk around with a camera and take pictures of everything that's busted and just play dumb and be like, hey, I did a building audit. I just want to know what the timeline is for repairs for this stuff, and like bake them cookies and bring that with all your pictures and be like, how can we work on this together, But you haven't been there super long, right? So you're still like fresh and you can just be like, oh, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to like note all this broken stuff in my building, So you won't seem pushy.
I have
But
tried the play dumb approach. That seems to be working.
but
You have a
Mimi's right.
buildings and-
You need to know your DPW
Yes.
people.
Right.
Sorry,
Do
go
you have a
ahead.
buildings
But
and grounds
document,
committee?
document.
Yeah.
Do you have a buildings and grounds committee on your board?
Not specifically.
Okay, because we have one and it's helpful because we have a shared tracker list. Again, when I started
Yeah.
walking in the building. So all of the conversations that occur over a broken window
Mhm.
are
Mhm.
documented. Everyone can
Yep.
access it. The chair of the committee,
Smart.
myself, board, the administrator, the borough administrator, and the head of DPW. So that's helpful.
Yeah, document everything, keep everything tracked somewhere. We do that here just because like this building's kind of big, and sometimes someone will mention to my maintenance guy, like, oh, hey, this isn't working, but he forgets to like write it down anywhere, and then I'll hear it again. So like it's just good to have a place where it's like all recorded. And then you can see like, hey, this door is broken 6 times in the last like year. Like what's going on with that? But yeah, I don't think it's that uncommon of an arrangement, unfortunately or fortunately. Good question. Anybody else?
I have a very silly question.
It's probably not silly.
Where should I get the most updated salary information?
Where should you,
The
what?
salary information?
For your library?
Yeah.
So, the salary survey from last year should be available on
Yeah,
Happio.
yeah.
But also, do you not have a spreadsheet of your staff and their salaries? Is that what you're?
I found one from my previous
Uh,
director, and then I looked through all the files in my cabinet, and they don't
Mhm.
match.
So does the municipality process your payroll for you? Like,
Yes.
okay, so I would just reach out to the person who processes
I-
your payroll and tell
yeah,
them you need a list. That's what I would do.
I've reached out to them like a few days ago, and then they haven't just provided yet. So should I just follow?
Yeah, I would
Follow
follow
with
up. Yeah,
them.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
Sometimes they can be, if the municipality is processing your payroll, sometimes I know my previous, in Wallington, they, process payroll for us, and to hunt down the payroll clerk sometimes, would take a little time. So definitely just kind of keep on them and just, hey, just following up, just
Mhm.
wanted to see if you got my email, when you get a chance, please send over the information to me. Yeah, and
Sure.
sometimes it's, they just, depending on where you are, like I know mine was like part-time, so he wasn't always there, so it was like hard to,
yeah.
to get a hold of them.
Mhm.
But definitely follow up, because like Tara said, they should absolutely be able to provide you with all of that information.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry that wasn't done for you, because that's honestly unacceptable. Like you should have been given a definitive list of everyone's salary. But that's also not your fault. So don't feel like just because you couldn't find something means it's like a deficit on your part at all. That should have been provided to you. So I would say to your board, this wasn't provided to me. I'm doing my best to figure it all out.
Yeah,
Yeah, but if that's not, that should have been handed to you. That's not your fault at all. But you can access the salary survey from last year, but that's just going to give you averages and general
Yeah.
information.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you need specific payroll information, your payroll clerk should have that. And honestly, this is the time in August when everyone in Bergen County is on vacation. Maybe that person's away, maybe they're just covering for someone else who's away. So maybe it'll take them a few days to get back to you, but it also wouldn't hurt if you haven't done this to show up at Borough Hall and just introduce yourself and say
yeah.
who you are so they know you, so that they have a face to put to an email or a phone call, you know. Just in general, that's a good thing to
Mhm.
do. It's good to know all the key players in the borough, especially if they're doing things like your payroll, because if there's ever an
Mhm.
issue, you want to have a good relationship with them. So it's not a silly question, though. Someone should have given that information to
Yeah,
you. So
don't
I'm
blame
sorry
her.
that that didn't happen. Anyone else?
Does anyone have a job description or a job for a circulation supervisor, kind of what their responsibilities are, and if there's kind of
Yeah.
reports they run each week, if that they would be willing to share with me?
I honestly, I would email the director's private listserv for that question
Yeah,
because
because then you know what, you could get a whole bunch of different
you'll get
Yeah,
a
I
ones,
whole
did that too.
bunch.
and you can look
because
through it.
you
Yeah.
know, in a smaller library, I feel like a circ manager does more than they do in like my library because we're so departmentalized here.
Okay,
Also we use like the stupid civil service job descriptions for everything, which
right,
are like
sure, sure.
really, frankly, unhelpful, in my opinion. They're not
Yeah.
very specific, but I would, that is a great example of a thing you can ask for a director's listserv, and then you could throw all the doc, you could throw it all in a doc and share it with everybody when you're done. People love that when you like share back what you've collected. Um, because you really want a job description that's going to work for your specific library. Like you
Okay.
may do things a specific way, like as far as where you pack your delivery, like whatever, you know, every place is different. So you pick the one that's like the best and then you fine tune that to make sense for Midland Park. That's what I would do.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Megan, I'm going to jump in here. The circulation committee, they've been meeting
Mm.
regularly. So for certain reports that need to be run on a regular basis, you can reach out to the co-chairs. They've been absolutely fabulous with updating everyone. Like these are reports that should be done on a regular basis. So the two co-chairs for circulation committee has been wonderful.
Thank you. I'll do that, Mimi. I appreciate your help.
Great. Anyone else? You guys have been very patient and great listeners. Lots of active listening, I see, like we talked about.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you guys for listening to me talk for an hour. I'm like, I don't need to talk now for at least a couple more hours. But if you're probably just like any situation, as soon as we sign off, you're gonna think of stuff you forgot to ask or something else will come to mind. So please reach out to Catherine or I or anyone on the LAMP committee, any other director, your mentor, whomever. And we really appreciate you taking the time to listen to us chat today. I hope it was helpful. We look forward to seeing everybody at community circles and at system council. Catherine, did you want to say anything?
We'll make sure we'll share out the 4 presentations that we did have, so that you guys have all of the slides for that, since, you know, it was a whirlwind of information. Yeah, but that's basically it. We just, again, thank you for joining us, and we're glad to be able to share information. Hopefully there was a lot of good stuff there. But yeah, any questions down the line, definitely always reach out to Tara or myself, Lamp, all that. There's a long list of people who you can reach out to. So never feel like any question is silly or stupid or anything. No question is stupid. And yeah, sometimes it's lonely at the top. So definitely join us for community circle, you know, get on the phone with, you know, whatever director, you know, feel like you can, you know, talk to if you ever have any issues or you just like need to vent about something. But you know, that's the nice thing about being a director in Buckles, and I think a library director in general, we're always willing to help each other out. So makes things a lot easier sometimes.
And it was great to meet all of you. And I want to thank Mimi again for joining us today, our beautiful, wonderful president, and Darlene, our wonderful, fabulous, fantastic liaison. And we hope we see you guys around soon at other
Yes.
events. Best of luck in your new positions.
Thank you.
Yes, very nice to meet all of you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye,
Good
Good
guys.
afternoon. Thanks for
Bye-bye.
joining us.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
That was great. Let me stop the recording.
Perfect.